about to launch a fabulous Las Vegas campaign on behalf of the city, where the city is going to go on sale throughout the fall. Starbucks, okay, maybe we got a bit of a...
Perhaps we should stop pointing fingers at the 115-degree heat, crime statistics, controversial policies, or even the shaky economy to explain why Las Vegas is deserted. Because the truth is, those causes lie in deliberate decisions made from the very beginning. Decisions approved by the very CEOs who lead the casino industry. Instead of protecting the soul of Vegas, a place where everyone could find joy, they chose a different path, raising room rates, piling on service fees, and turning every experience into a financial challenge reserved for the few. This very strategy is not only hurting the wallets of budget travelers, but is also gradually strangling the tourism industry, which is the lifeblood of the city. In today's video, we'll break down how those decisions shook the foundations of Las Vegas tourism. Is this a survival strategy, or is it the death card that CEOs are inadvertently betting on the future of Las Vegas? Let's find the answer in the next 20 minutes. Las Vegas just experienced an empty summer, even worse than the Great Recession period in January 2009. According to data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the number of tourists visiting the city has decreased by as much as 12%, equivalent to approximately 500,000 people disappearing in just 30 days. To put it more vividly, that number is like Miami, one of Florida's most vibrant destinations, being wiped off the tourism map overnight. People often cite various reasons for this emptiness: high costs, controversial border immigration policies, or simply the feeling of being ripped off upon arriving in Vegas. But behind those excuses lies a deeper reality. A series of businesses are struggling. Hotel occupancy rates have plummeted, and thousands of jobs in the service industry have vanished. Not a few people went from having a stable job to being homeless and without income. What's happening is like a red alert echoing across the Nevada desert, heralding a silent collapse unfolding from deep within the city's soul. However, casino CEOs insist that Vegas is not dying. They only pointed to the room occupancy rate reaching 98% during the festival weekend as proof that the city is still vibrant. But what is the truth? Could this crisis be anything but random, but rather the result of a deliberate arrangement from the very beginning? The answer can be seen right in everyday bills. An Excalibur room is advertised for $45, but after taxes and fees, the price jumps to over $90. A thin slice of pizza in the food court costs $12.99. A tiny can of soda, $7. And those shows, once the common joy of millions, now have tickets reaching $3,000 to see Paul McCartney. These numbers are not only shocking, but also expose a shift. Las Vegas is tilting all its profits and business goals toward high-spending customer groups, abandoning the majority who once made up the city's soul. A 62-year-old man, a former truck driver who saved his whole life for a luxurious night in Vegas, shared bitterly. "I used to consider Vegas the reward of my life, but now, coming here feels like a punishment, and no one wants to pay to receive a punishment." It's not just about price. Discrimination is also evident in how the city treats each group of visitors. The budget traveler lands on a cheap flight, drags their suitcase to the hotel, and waits in line for hours to get a small room, along with a mandatory resort fee. Meanwhile, just a few steps away, a high roller is led through a private door, has a separate check-in area, attentive service, and everything from valet to resort fees is complimentary. Frankly speaking, casinos are actively implementing a campaign to filter out customers. They chose to bet on the high roller group, the whales, who generate 80% of the profit from just 20% of customers, instead of maintaining a steady flow from millions of average customers. Vegas has chosen to become an exclusive playground for the few, abandoning the egalitarian spirit that once made it a mass icon. And in that closed-off arena, perhaps both you and I have almost no place left. If Vegas is no longer for everyone, what meaning does it still hold? Can the memories and joys that once formed the soul of this city be so easily erased just for the sake of short-term profit? Perhaps it's too early to say this was a wrong choice, but the consequences are already becoming clear. And if you want to know how cruel those consequences are, let's move on to the next part with me. Vegas 2025 is gradually becoming a series of unbelievable paradoxes. From the people who once helped build the city's soul to the average tourist visiting Las Vegas today, they are suddenly being cast in the role of fee payers. The city that once promised glamour now turns every small experience into a long, drawn-out bill. If neon lights were once considered an invitation, they now resemble a warning sign. Be prepared for a very thick wallet before stepping through the door. The basic costs of a trip to Vegas are becoming increasingly unacceptable. A room listed at $95 can easily increase to $175 after a series of surcharges. Eating 3 simple meals for a family of 4 can cost nearly $120, and most of it is just expensive fast food. Even international visitors are not exempt. In addition to airfare, they also have to pay extra for visas and service fees, making the Vegas experience even more expensive. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the prices of food and away-from-home meals in the US have risen steadily in the post-pandemic period. In Las Vegas alone, average travel costs have also skyrocketed. Visitor spending reached a record $1,322 per trip in 2024, according to CDC Gaming, more than 50% higher than pre-pandemic levels. It's noteworthy that even casino CEOs don't deny the soaring prices, especially at budget hotels. A prime example, $12 for a Starbucks at Excalibur, a price that makes many people feel exploited rather than served. But instead of focusing on keeping the crowds entertained, many corporations are openly shifting their focus to international markets, pouring capital into Macau, China, or even Saudi Arabia. Vegas, according to them, is no longer their top priority. And it was that very approach that inadvertently turned every experience into a cost equation. Resort fee $55, valet $30, cocktail $22, a bottle of water $26, not including hours spent waiting to check in at a soulless self-service kiosk. Meanwhile, high rollers, customers who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, are exempt from most fees, receive private service, and are treated as the center of the universe. The majority of budget travelers, who once made up the soul of Vegas, are now reduced to the role of walking ATMs. A checkout bill nearly half a meter long is the most visual proof. Tourists could only sigh, the feeling of joy giving way to frustration. A 58-year-old woman, a former elementary school teacher, described her trip as being bag-checked at every step. In reality, Nevada state policy allows resort fees to exist and thrive, transforming this practice into a legitimate way to increase revenue without enhancing the value of the experience. The result is that joy gradually disappears, replaced by a feeling of being exploited, or in other words, legally pickpocketed. Small businesses off the strip, which rely on general tourism, are also struggling. A 20-year-old family restaurant on the outskirts says revenue has dropped by more than half since 2021. Small shows, once a popular choice, have now disappeared from the market due to rising ticket prices and a preference for luxury events. Las Vegas was once successful because it knew how to cultivate crowds. A working-class family, a retired couple, or a group of ordinary friends can all find their place. They spend little, but return many times, creating a steady flow. With a short-term profit mindset, Vegas may be on the verge of eroding the very foundation that made it strong. In the short term, the reported numbers may still look good, but in the long run, the loss of trust and the feeling of being exploited will turn the crowd against them. What solution can change this trajectory? Some experts suggest Las Vegas could learn from major brands like Marriott International, which publicly committed to transparent service fees, or by implementing a value guarantee program, ensuring the experience is worth the price. If this city is willing to adopt transparency standards and rebalance the strategic relationship between VIP and general customers, trust might still have a chance to be salvaged. Are tourists still guests in Vegas, or have they become walking ATMs? And is Las Vegas trading its long-term future just to reap short-term, quick but fragile profits? If there's one place that has ever made people believe that luck can smile at any moment, it's Las Vegas. A coin dropped into a slot machine, a card flipped over on a blackjack table, each one hinting at the possibility of changing your life, or at least having a fun evening. But in recent years, many tourists have begun to realize a different truth. The rules of the game have changed. And in this new game, the house not only has the advantage, but almost has victory in its grasp. The changes aren't always obvious. They appear subtly in payout ratios, in the way games are redesigned. Some blackjack tables used to pay out at 3-2 odds, but are now more commonly 6-5, significantly reducing the player's advantage. Some slot machines that used to have a steady payout rate are now seeing fewer small wins, forcing players to deposit more to maintain hope. According to the American Gaming Association, 2023, the profit margin of Nevada casinos has increased by nearly 2% over the past 5 years. A small figure on paper, but enough to transfer hundreds of millions of dollars from tourist pockets to operating corporations. For the average person, these changes create a very different experience. Instead of a mix of excitement and joy, many people left the gaming table feeling bitter. A 64-year-old former postal worker who used to visit Vegas annually recounted that he stopped playing blackjack after realizing everything seemed designed to give me no chance. Such comments are increasingly appearing on travel forums, where visitors complain that Vegas isn't fun anymore because the odds are always stacked against them. Of course, from the perspective of casino CEOs, this is an understandable strategy. They face high operating costs, global competition, and pressure to maintain profits for shareholders. By adjusting the rules of the game, they can ensure a steady flow of revenue to the business, even if the number of customers decreases. But unintentionally, this very adjustment eroded trust, an intangible asset that was once the foundation of the Vegas industry. As the rules of the game change, the stratification becomes even more pronounced. High rollers, customers who bet hundreds of thousands of dollars, still receive special privileges, better odds, preferential service, private gaming rooms. Meanwhile, budget players, who make up the majority, have to play on tables with less favorable rules or on slot machines with lower payout rates. A 59-year-old visitor described their experience as stepping into a pre-arranged chess game where you can only lose slowly or quickly, but it's almost impossible to win. The solution isn't to eliminate profits. That's impossible in a capital and risk-based industry. But perhaps Las Vegas could learn from international brands like Caesars Entertainment, which once launched a loyalty program with a commitment to greater transparency about rates and benefits, making players feel they were treated more fairly. If the entire industry in Vegas focuses on transparency and fair experiences, rather than just short-term profits, visitor trust could be restored. Will Las Vegas dare to give players a fair game? Or will it continue to hold the rules in its hands, accepting the gradual loss of the city's soul in exchange for immediate profits? And once trust has been eroded, is there still a chance to win back the crowd that has turned away? There was a time when just mentioning Las Vegas would immediately bring to mind crowded flights, noisy hotel lobbies, and streets overflowing with tourists. But in recent years, that scene has become increasingly faded. Instead, there are flights with many empty seats, sparsely populated strip roads, and many hotels having to offer promotions to fill rooms. The Vegas dream, once a meeting place for an entire generation of Americans, is slowly fading in the neon lights that were once so bright. A 61-year-old visitor from Ohio said his most recent trip to Vegas felt like a flawed copy compared to his old memories. He said, "I don't feel happy, just tired from having to spend so much on things that aren't worth it." On online forums, a flood of comments appeared with the same message. Vegas is no longer worth visiting. These stories, though personal, are gradually becoming a common trend. Behind the tourist's decision to leave are many contributing factors. Soaring prices make every experience feel burdensome. The lively atmosphere of the past has been replaced by long lines, from checking into hotels to queuing for shows. And most importantly, budget travelers feel they're no longer valued. While high rollers enjoy privileges and perks, the majority of others have to pay more for less value. A heartbreaking paradox. The very group of customers who were the backbone of Vegas have been marginalized. The consequences extend beyond just tourism statistics. When tourists turn their backs, a series of supporting businesses are also affected. From taxi drivers and waiters to the small shops around the Strip, everyone is feeling the decline in revenue. An independent show organizer admits that attendance is only half of what it used to be, forcing them to cut back on their schedule and lay off staff. For the local community, this decline is like a crack spreading throughout social life. In this context, Las Vegas can learn a lot from global brands like Hilton Hotels and Resorts, which invest heavily in customer experience with transparent service fee policies and a commitment to consistent quality. If Vegas wants to keep tourists coming back, they need to return to that spirit: transparency, fairness, and putting the experience of all classes of guests first. Can Las Vegas still hold on to the tourists who have left? Or will the dream that once shone under neon lights continue to fade, leaving behind a city that is only a shadow of its former self? And if tourists no longer want to return, what will be the future for a city that lives off of them? It's not the neon lights or the numbers in financial reports, but the people who live in Las Vegas themselves who are the clearest measure of the changes taking place. While casino CEOs inside the conference room discuss profit margins and market strategies, just a few blocks away, those decisions were translated into reduced meals, unaffordable apartments, and even tents springing up under overpasses. That contrasting image reveals the truth. It is the local community that bears the heaviest burden. Changes in casino business strategies, from prioritizing high rollers to increasing service fees, have created a domino effect. As the number of budget travelers decreases, so does the demand for jobs. Small shops around the Strip are closing, taxis are less busy, and street performers are also becoming scarce. The community, once closely tied to the rhythm of tourism, now faces economic and emotional uncertainty. The issue doesn't stop at the economic aspect. It also creates social division. At one end of the spectrum, resorts still shine brightly, welcoming VIP guests in luxury. On the other side, just a few blocks away, are dilapidated tenements and streets where local residents set up tents. A 70-year-old retired security guard who has spent his entire life in Vegas admits he has never seen such a stark divide between rich and poor. Vegas used to be for everyone. Now it's like two parallel cities, one for the wealthy and one for the rest. The feeling of being abandoned is becoming increasingly widespread. Local residents see casino profits still increasing, but at the same time, they see their neighbors losing their jobs and students having to drop out of school to help their parents work extra. State officials may tout the tax revenue generated by casinos, but on an individual level, many people feel left behind. Resort fees or service charges can supplement budgets, but they don't help when a family has to leave their apartment because the rent has increased too much. Without adjustments, short-term decisions made in the boardroom will continue to be paid for by the community with long-term pain. The lesson here isn't to stop making a profit, but to find balance. Corporations can refer to the model of Hyatt Hotels Corporation, which publicly implemented community support programs linked to employee job retention and reinvestment in the neighborhoods surrounding the resort. A strategy focused on sustainability rather than just short-term profits could be the bridge to mend the growing gap between businesses and the community. Can Las Vegas truly boast about its dazzling lights when families are living in tents right beneath its glittering buildings? And if the city continues to prioritize profits on the balance sheet over real life on the streets, who will still want to call this the entertainment capital of the world? There was a time when Las Vegas was almost the default choice for Americans when it came to rest and recreation. This city is called the capital of fun, where every road seems to lead to the Strip. But that picture is changing rapidly. Today, when people are considering their next vacation, Vegas is no longer the top priority. Other destinations, both domestic and international, are gradually gaining market share by offering appealing experiences at more affordable costs. A prominent trend is the rise of alternative havens right within the country. Nashville has become a destination for music, culture, and cuisine at a lower cost. Austin blends a youthful vibe with street art and BBQ, something Vegas can't replicate. Even small coastal cities in California or Florida attract a significant number of tourists, as visitors want to combine a resort experience with entertainment rather than just gambling and shows. On an international level, Cancun, Barcelona, and even Dubai are becoming direct competitors, offering luxury combined with synchronized and transparent services. A middle-aged family from Michigan said they had been to Vegas 3 times in 5 years, but their most recent trip made them decide to go somewhere else. The husband frankly shared, "I'm tired of having to pay extra fees for everything. If I'm spending a large sum of money, I want a comfortable vacation, not one where every penny is accounted for." Their story isn't unique. It reflects a growing sentiment among middle-aged and older adults, the customer base that was once the core of Vegas. To avoid being left behind, Las Vegas needs to find a new strategy. Corporations can learn from global brands like Airbnb, which consistently emphasizes local experience and personalization. Instead of relying solely on luxury or gambling, Vegas could reinvent itself as a city of diverse, transparent, and more welcoming experiences, thereby restoring lost trust. Can Las Vegas pivot to retain its central position on the tourism map, or will it accept being overtaken by new paradises that know how to truly listen to visitors' needs? And if this happens, what's the point of neon lights if no one wants to stop and look at them anymore? Las Vegas was once a symbol of the bright American dream, a place where anyone could find joy and hope. But the decisions made in luxurious boardrooms have gradually distanced this city from its very soul. As tourists turn their backs, as local communities pay the price, and as new paradises rise around the world, the neon lights on the Strip are no longer an invitation, but a big question mark about the future. If Las Vegas is no longer for everyone, will it still hold any meaning in the hearts of Americans? And are we witnessing a city losing its soul just for the sake of short-term profits? If you see what's happening in Vegas reflecting something in where you live, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue exploring the stories shaping America's future with us. The content in this video is created with the purpose of exploring, analyzing, and sharing perspectives based on public information sources, statistical data, and experiences gathered from multiple sources. All information presented is not absolute, does not represent the official statement of any organization or individual, and is subject to change over time. We are not assigning blame to any individual, business, or government, but simply hope to provide audiences with a more multifaceted view of the ongoing developments. Viewers should consult other reliable sources before forming their own opinions. All views and opinions shared in the comments section belong to individual viewers and do not necessarily reflect the channel's perspective.